Hey buddies, this is Nance from Quest for a Farm, and today we are going to be making sauerkraut with some not so fabulous cabbages. So these were the absolute last of my cabbage harvest. It was too hot to be growing cabbages when they grew. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of make the best that we can of them. So this one's really tiny, but sauerkraut is always great for not so fabulous cabbages, because if you use all of them at once, then you'll kind of end up getting enough. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to pick them over until they look relatively decent. As we're chopping, we will still be taking out the bits that look a little bit manky. So here's my last one. Just peel it. Oh, this one's quite dry. They've been in my fridge for a couple of days. That's why they're as dried out as they are. Okay, cool. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take the bases off. Ooh. Okay, that didn't look fabulous. Okay, not to worry, nothing will go to waste. My chickens will get whatever we discard here. I am going to put some of the bigger leaves aside for a little bit later. But let's see so far. So we're going to chop them up, cut them in half just like so, and give them a solid rinse out. This one looks a bit like a flying saucer, shame. Our cabbage has been soaking for a bit of a while, so we are going to cut it nice and fine. You can use a mandolin or a, what do they call it, craft cutter or something like that. But you basically want to cut it into smallish pieces and pop it in your bowl. You can see that I have removed the hard stalks, and here we go. Alright, so we have shredded our cabbage. I have weighed it all. It comes to 1.4 kilograms, which is roughly 3 pounds 3 ounces. I'm going to stick with my metric land conversions. To my 1.4 kilograms, I need 42 grams of salt. This is a 2-ingredient sauerkraut. So I know that 6 grams of salt is roughly a teaspoon, so 42 divided by 6 gives you 7 teaspoons of salt to lacto-ferment our sauerkraut. For those who are in imperial land, that is about 1.5 ounces. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to let the salt work its magic. So let me just mix it nicely through, and we'll be back in literally a few minutes for the next step. I don't know if you can see some of the cabbages already starting, and I mean this has been seconds, already starting to look a little bit kind of wet, if that makes sense. So let's leave the salt to do its thing, and we'll be back. Okay, so what we're going to do after about 10 minutes is we're going to start just massaging the cabbage. Okay, you can see it's released quite a bit more water now. So now we're just helping the process along. So just rubbing it between your fingers like that. Okay, and then you'll start seeing the cabbage looks almost like it's cooked. It's not, but it looks like it is. And it's delicious and salty. Okay, so after you've massaged it until the water's out, what you're going to do is you're going to take a quart jar. This is one of the ones. You can of course use any size you want. And we're going to start packing the cabbage in here. Whoops. Without throwing it all over the place, preferably. Okay, now you'll see I'm not packing it loosely. I'm squishing it in. And more cabbage goes in. Oh, I feel like I might need another jar or two. So now all this water that's left in the bottom, we're going to use to fill up our sauerkraut. And keep pushing it down, because the key to this is you want it under the liquid. Okay? So you might ask me, well, how are we going to keep it under the liquid? How are we going to stop it from bouncing back up again? And that's relatively easy. Remember those few cabbage leaves we pulled out? We are going to put them in and force them into the jar, so there she stays under the liquid. And that one, force it in. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put our lids on, put our rings on. Okay. And you can see I haven't sealed them. I'm not doing it tightly. So this is going to sit out on my counter for between 3 and 7 days. I'll taste it after 3 days, see if it's kind of sour enough or fermented enough for me. And then once you've decided that it's at the taste point that you like, you pop it in the fridge, which stops the lacto-fermentation, and you have yourself some sauerkraut, which will last you for months. Okay, so here are our sauerkraut bottles after day 1. You can see the liquid is increased, and every day what we're going to do is we're just going to loosen the lid, let a little bit of liquid escape. You can see there's already some bubbles happening there, which is the signs that fermentation is starting. Then close it up, open up, literally just lift the lid and put it back down. And there we go. Hey, it is now day 3, and let me see if we can take you in. Can you see these little bubbles forming here? Okay, little bubbles all over the place. And the little bubbles are coming up. And if we tap, you see it's actively bubbling, which means it's actively fermenting, which is good. So now we're going to have a little taste. Sorry, I just had to get it open. Okay, and it's got that very distinct sauerkrauty smell to it. So that's what it's looking like now. It's salty. It's still got that crunch. And I don't like very sour sauerkraut, so I'd pretty much say this is about where I want it. So I'm quite happy with this. That's nice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shove my little cabbage leaf back in there. put its little top back on. And we're going to put these guys straight into the fridge. So putting them in the fridge will stop the fermentation process and we can eat them. They will last a good 4 or 5 months in the fridge. They won't because I'm going to eat them, but they could in theory. Thanks for watching. Please hit that subscribe button. Please like our video and share it. It really does help us out and keep us motivated.